Hey there, and welcome back to another edition of Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner, and prior to introducing the two gentlemen at the table with me, I want to direct you to a website, premieriwm.com. It's Premier Investments and Wealth Management website. If you click on Get Started, just answer a few questions, they will provide for you a one-page Premier Vision document. This really could help you as the beginning, the roadmap to your entire financial future. Do you know if you're ready for retirement? You know if you're ready to help your kids with part or all of their college education. What about maybe you've got an expected expense of the future? Maybe, do I need an emergency fund? How much is that going to be? They've got the answers to all these questions. And the nice thing about that is they will sit down with you after you click Get Started, answer those questions. They'll provide you that free one-page Premier Vision document during a free, no-obligation meeting. Seriously, you've got literally nothing to lose and your retirement to gain. Get in touch with Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Make that appointment today. You can either go online or do it, or maybe I've convinced you just by what I said right here. I'm a client. Call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590 for Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named a Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Joining me here today with over 30 years of experience in the investment industry is a wealth advisor, and he's my wealth advisor, Jonas Everett. Jonas, how are you?
Hi, Doug. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well.
I love your fedora and
well, not a
just
fedora,
in time
just
for
a
the
little
holidays.
hat.
Just a little hat. Okay.
Yeah, a little Scully or something like that. Yeah,
Love it.
Figured that it was something that sort of matched what I have, kind of, and it sort of matches you too.
It really does.
Oh,
so
wow.
might keep the top of your head a little warm.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for, because there's not a whole lot else keeping it warm.
All right.
I'm not like you, that full head of hair. Speaking of full head of hair, Roger Abel's in the studio too. President and Wealth Advisor, Premier Investments Wealth Management, Certified Exit Planning Advisor is SIPC, and then also an AIF, that is an accredited investment fiduciary with over 22 years of experience in the investment industry. You know him as Roger Abel. Around the office, we know him as the Big Kahuna. Roger, how are you?
I'm good, Doug. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I will tell you,
when
you mentioned that Jonas is your financial advisor, I finally figured out you chose age over beauty.
Well, thank you. I think that's a compliment.
Age over beauty.
Thanks, Roger. I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. See, it's like a family being here. This is so cool. We're going to do listener questions again. Roger, let's start off with this one from Brielle, who asks, my husband and I are going to try to straighten out our finances and get better habits before our second baby comes in April. Congratulations. We make about $200,000 a year, but only have $500 in savings, Roger. We always pay our credit card bills in full, but it feels like we're always paying off last month's spending instead of getting ahead. Any advice to help us reset?
Well, Brielle, I would say you're not alone. You have great income, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have strong savings habits. I'm going to highlight one major thing you said in your question. We always pay our credit card bills in full.
Mm-hmm.
There's good and bad news about that.
Yeah.
The good news is you're paying them.
Mm-hmm.
The bad news is you are using them.
Yeah.
Because when you use that credit card, it's a lot easier to spend. And clearly you have the income to pay it. It's a little scary that you have one child going to have two with only $500 in savings. I would be curious how much they have in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get the question answered, but here's where I'll start. I believe the first thing, Brielle, you need to do is you need to sit down and get a handle on where your money's going. Anytime somebody is in financial trouble, there's three things you need to diagnose and get a solution. What's the income? What are the expenses? And what are the debts? If you get those three things, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, figure out where your money's going. You know what the income is. It doesn't sound like you have any debt. Once we know where the money's going, we have to give it some structure. And the first thing you need to do is you need to get an emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
According to your numbers, you guys must be spending around $12,000 to $13,000 a month, because $200,000, take out 20% for taxes.
Right.
That's $12,000 to $13,000 a month. Figure out where the $12,000 or $13,000 is going. It seems like a lot, depending upon what your house payment is. Once we start establishing the emergency fund, if you're spending $12,000, that's $36,000 to $72,000.
Okay.
You have to get that established, and you're not going to establish it in one fell swoop, right? You're not going to write a check to establish it or take all your spending 1 month. You're going to have to do it Jonas's favorite way, which is regular and consistent contributions. So I'd really suggest setting up an ACH to go from one account. So let's say the account your check gets deposited to a third-party account that's not easy to touch, and you make it regular and automatic every single week. I believe weekly ACH is the way to build that emergency fund. If you put $200 a week in there, it's way less painful than $800 once a month.
And you never see it.
You never see it. It's how I do all of my investments, everything. And then when I have a little more money, guess what I do? Just do a one-time deposit, or I'll up my weekly ACH. I constantly am upping it. Oh yeah, well, things are better in 6 months than they were 6 months ago. Okay. Do another however much you want to do each week. That will build you an emergency fund. And I'm not making it up. It's how I built my first one. When I was 23, my wife and I were married. We had a house, no emergency fund. Had a house though. We had good income. I literally set up an ING Orange savings account, which that's the new Capital One 360.
Okay.
They're paying 5.75% interest back in 2003. I'm like, well, start throwing $100 a week in here.
Yeah.
And then it was 200. And then, I just kept upping it until I had a pain point. I'm like, all right, I'm really broke. I wasn't, because I was saving money.
Yeah.
But it felt like I was, because I'm like, all right, I can't save. It hurt. I can't save more than this. But the amount I was saving, never would I put the one lump sum one time a month in. So weekly savings. After we get our emergency fund funded, let's give our spending a little structure. What are our fixed expenses? Those should be pretty easy to figure out. What are our variable expenses, and what are lifestyle expenses? But the key for Brielle and her family is to figure out where the money's going and then start paying yourself first. You have to start paying yourself first. Once you have the emergency fund set up, now you can start investing. But nothing's going forward until you get the emergency fund set up.
Right. And the other thing you need to remind them, too, is because they've got another baby coming. I know they've had a baby, but there are some people who maybe they've not had a kid before. There is expenses to go with that. It's not just the birth expenses. It's all the expenses that go along with that. They need to start preparing for that, too.
Diapers were never cheap.
No.
I'm fascinated with what Roger said there about using a credit card that you naturally spend more, because that's exactly right. It's almost subliminal. That's why you have restaurants advertise credit cards.
Yeah.
Because you go and you're more likely to order dessert. And that's why my brother Jason has a better restaurant plan than his brother Jonas, because we were at a major restaurant, popular restaurant here this month celebrating the holidays. Jason always brings cash.
Hooters.
I have the debit card. Of course, once you have the debit card, they bring out your bill. It's all on the little computer box right now.
You don't even look at it. You just slide it and
you
move
plug
on.
it in.
Yeah.
And I love how the tip floats all the way up to the way high side. Our service was really good, but it wasn't that great. I had to almost adjust the tip button down to a regular level.
You couldn't get it down to 9%?
The whole time I'm doing all of this stuff, Doug, Jason's just reaching for his cash.
Right. Get a 4%. A lot of places you get a 4% discount.
Absolutely. So I would start, Brielle, with the credit cards. What's going on there? Go to the ATM machine before you're doing anything first, and leave that credit card, hopefully in a bucket of water, and put it on the back porch. Hopefully you have a gated community or something, and freeze that credit card, or let's put it in the freezer with a locked house. Freeze that credit card and go to the ATM and use cash for a while.
It's the reason that Dave Ramsey always says use cash. When you're giving over $100 bill, it feels different.
Yeah.
Than when you give them that card.
Exactly.
Mickey Mouse is going to take
Mickey Mouse
the card or the 100. Trust me.
No. You're going to like this, you guys. So for those who are watching, they know I'm going on a Disney cruise. I may have already been on it by the time this airs. There was an option. Do you want to tip ahead of time or at the end of the cruise? And my wife picked ahead of time. I'm like, why would you include gratuity ahead of time? Like, how do you know what it's going to be? All these different things. But Mickey Mouse, he knows how to extract money from it. We always joke, Jonas, that if you go to Disney, and I'm doing a cruise, I've never done one, but when you actually go to Disney, you stay on site. When you get there and you bought your park passes and you have your hotel room paid for and you have your airfare all paid for, you get there and you think you're done first time you go.
Double up.
You're halfway home. And we joked, you can walk around and see all the arguments between these families that thought they were done spending money. Yeah. And they were just getting started.
See, that's why I'm very happy that my family was never into things like that. I mean, baseball, football games, something like that, but the House of Mouse is a whole nother thing completely, and you have my prayers and blessings.
Well, you could firsthand see amusement park meltdowns.
You ought to start a YouTube channel.
That would be awesome.
You just have the camera and it's just amusement park meltdowns.
That would be awesome. Just like all the Bigfoot ones you can have, the real ones, the amusement park meltdowns. That'd be good. Hey, maybe you're trying to figure out in plan of action, Brielle. There's something they have, and maybe it's at first you'd go, do I want to go there and do this? PremierIWM.com. 10 critical steps to take before retirement. We know you're not ready for retirement, but what they have is a simple spending plan and saving system. So go to PremierIWM.com, download 10 critical steps to take before retirement. And while you're there, you can make your appointment to meet one of the folks from Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named a Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Teams, or call for your appointment, 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Going to Jonas for a question from Joseph. With higher interest rates, low housing inventory, and the fact that our kids don't have much in liquid savings, what are some realistic ways we can help them purchase their first home?
Great question, Joe. This is actually a question from somebody that I know from trivia night. I was approached by Joe, and I think that there are financial and non-financial ways that you can help your kid. One of the big things, Doug, that I would tell Joe is whatever help that you give, practical help, don't let that put your own plan at risk. So, Joe, you have to have your own plan first. But let's start by doing a little bit of inventory on your kid, basically. Are we ready for home ownership? Like Roger mentioned in the first part of the show, if we're looking at houses already, can we look at maybe doubling whatever the actual mortgage payment is and maybe putting some of that away in an emergency fund? Here's some of the practical ways that parents help their kids out. A lot of times they will do a gift. And this would be probably making some type of a gift to help the kid out for a down payment, Doug. You could set up some type of a family loan. I've had situations where parents co-sign for their kids. Again, you might be putting your plan, your retirement plan at risk if you're doing that. Some parents help the kids with the closing costs. I personally like number 5 or 6 down here. I like when parents try to help their kids with a matching situation, Doug. So if you're looking at helping them with the down payment, if your kid is financially responsible, is acting like a financial adult, is ready for home ownership, then you can actually match whatever amount that they have money saved up. But here's the key. They have to have some money saved up before, which is showing you that they're becoming, or they are, a financial adult about this home ownership that we're going into. And then ultimately you have to have, at the end of the day, you have to have more money. Like Roger said, you have to have more money than you're expecting to have. And if you err in the side of being very cautious about it, we don't know how much more money you're going to have, but at the end of the day, the worst thing that would happen is you have more in the kid's emergency fund or more in your emergency fund before your child purchases this house. But if you plan correctly, something that you have some long-term footing on would be the best case scenario. But there are the practical and the non-practical ways to do it.
Yeah. And, Roger, it's interesting. I do a commercial for a real estate firm, and one of the things I say is that not every home is built for every person. You may like my home, but you may not be able to afford it. Having an understanding to get the kids have an understanding of what they can afford, how they can afford it, that's something that parents can educate. But on top of it, I think it's another good thing to say, Mom and Dad, why don't you bring the kid in with you and have a conversation at Premier?
Doug, surely if we had a customer or client of this firm and they wanted to bring their child in here to discuss the purchase of a home, we would do that. One of the advantages that would provide is we have a very non-biased, non-emotional connection to this. Mm-hmm. If you think about the home buying process, it's an emotional one, especially for a first-time home buyer. Yeah. It's emotional for kids, but also for parents. Mm-hmm. I haven't been through it, but I have seen it. Parents are excited. They're nervous.
Terrified.
All those different things. And we can really bring and level set what it looks like, what should be in place. And there are some things people should be thinking about. Do you have 20% to put down?
Yeah.
If you haven't saved up 20%, I don't think you can afford it. You might be skimming by, but you really can't afford it because you haven't shown the ability to save and accumulate some money.
And here's the nice thing, too, is that at that point, you get to be the bad guys. I mean, really.
Yeah. Mom and Dad don't have to be the bad guys. We are.
Okay.
Guys, you haven't saved up enough money yet.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
But the nice thing is that then they may go, you know what? They care about me enough to tell me the truth like that, and then become a client as well. I mean, if you're going to be buying a house, you sure as heck better be saving for retirement or for your future.
Well, not even for retirement, just the down payment. If you're buying a $200,000 house, you need $40,000.
Right.
If you can't save 40, I'm not sure you're due to buy a home, because that's literally like a year and a half of the excess cost.
I know. And that's the thing that just kills me is back when we were buying our first home, it was like 105, maybe something like that. 110,000. It's like a completely different environment.
Yeah, I just said a starter home was $200,000.
You just did. I know. Yeah. That's why I just.
I think I don't know what starter homes are. I'm guessing that's
about
what it is.
225 in that area, depending where you are. We're lucky enough to have an older community as far as got old bones houses that run less, but the new ones 225 at least.
It is doable. I like Joe's question. I think that, and I like what you said, Doug, the average home ownership age right now is 40. And I think it's because of this reason. I think that if you look locally or anywhere geographically, these home prices are astronomical. And the government's saying that we're less than 3% inflation, but you're having, in this situation, you're having younger people unable to afford starter homes like we were able to do that, and they're ending up living in our basement. So how much room do you have over at your house, Roger?
Elias said he's just going to build a compound for his kids to live in forever. He goes, why wouldn't I just buy like 3 or 4 acres, build this giant house, and we all live together? And I think there are cultures that they actually do that. And I said, honestly, if you want to be that close, it's probably not a bad thing. But he made a good point to have separated wings of the house in your own space, but one property, one structure.
You know what? Families used to live like that for years. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that you had people go off in home ownership on their own, literally got away from mom and dad, because even my dad, who was born in 1922, there were multiple generations that lived in that house and on that property, because that's what it took to run a farm. Then you start the urban and then the suburban break, and then you have all of these things where now we've got these houses that are left over from the 1950s, 1960s that are either getting torn down or have that once over a couple of times. That can be expensive. The final thing I'd say, insurance is one of those things where, especially now, depending on where you are and where you're watching or listening to this, there are some insurance companies that are just checking out of the state. Whatever state it is, California, Florida, doesn't matter. They're just saying, we're done. We're not writing in the state whatsoever. That's going to make insurance prices go up too. So,
surely.
If you, and by the way, Doug
We're not
Wagner,
cheap here, though. I mean, we have a lot of stuff that happens, but we are not an expensive as a coastal community at all.
Exactly. Maybe you need some help evaluating how much assistance you can give your kid, or better yet, bring the kid or the children in with you and sit down, have a conversation with a neutral, uninterested party. I guess the only thing they're interested in is making sure that there's a successful culmination to this that does not put you at risk, Mom and Dad, like Jonas said earlier. Premier Investments in Wealth Management at premieriwm.com. And you can make your appointment online there, or you can call 800-383-6590. Roger, let's come to you with this question from Cole, who said, I opened a Roth IRA earlier this year. I contributed $7,000 when I opened it in March and thought I was adding a contribution for 2024, but after contributing another $7,000 this month, I noticed it shows my 2025 contributions total $14,000. I've read that if I overcontribute, I will be taxed 6%, and when I try to transfer $7,000 back to my bank account, it says I don't have the cash value to do so. What do I do? Am I going to get penalized?
Not the first time this has happened. Cole, honestly, it's not common, but it's not super uncommon. Many people make an over contribution to the Roth. The first thing to do is really dig into what happened. Let's get to the root cause. The most common thing that happens is you made a contribution earlier in the year and it got coded as a 2025 contribution, and it should have been coded as a 2024 contribution. So first, make sure the contributions were coded correctly. Then we got to figure out, has it made money since that time? And do we understand the difference kind of between withdrawing and removing an excess contribution? So how you fix it? If you have an advisor, you should call them.
Yeah.
Have them figure out. That's why you have an advisor.
But do that in the first place. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. If you have an advisor, call them. They will figure it out. This has happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And literally, it's as easy as just the 2024 box didn't get checked, and now it defaulted to 2025. You did too. If that's the case, you're going to just remove the excess contribution. So let your IRA provider know you need to do that, and they'll calculate whether you have gains or not. If you have gains, they would be adjusted accordingly. Will you be penalized? As long as you correct this by your tax filing of next year, you're going to avoid the penalty. Okay. If there are earnings, you might get taxed on those, but it's going to be minimal. It's $7,000. Sounds like you've already caught it, Cole. So I would just get on the horn with your IRA provider right away, or your advisor. Let them know what happens. In worst case scenario, you either have to remove the money or recharacterize the contribution from March to 2024.
Jonas, I am really not good at paperwork and managing it. That's why the wealth management professionals like you've got people in the back office that handle all the paperwork, and it's all there. I mean, it's all documented because that's what you're expected to do.
That's a great point, Doug. That's probably half of the reason people come in to do a financial plan.
Yeah.
They just want to get organized.
Yeah.
They just want to delegate their financial lives, kind of like a tax attorney for taxes, kind of like a regular attorney for the trusts and wills.
Yeah.
They want to delegate this stuff, but they want to have a little bit of hand-holding too. They want to make sure that things are going to be done right in the future. But I think that the organization is the big thing for a financial plan.
Yeah, it is. And that's something that's so nice that you get when you become a client at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Maybe you're somewhere else right now, too. You've got another wealth advisor that you work. It does not hurt to kick the tires and sit down and have a conversation with somebody new. I mean, you get second opinions in so many things. Why would your investments be any different? PremierIWM.com, the website, or call for an appointment, 800-383-6590. Austin wants to know, I'm 38 years old. I'm starting to get serious about my finances. I don't think I'm at a place where I need a full financial plan. Is there a good way to gut check if I'm on target, behind, or ahead?
Yes, Austin, great question. There is a good way to get a gut check. You could do a light financial plan that kind of provides some clarity, reduces some guesswork. And the reason it's so important at age 38 is back to the old saying, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. This is a perfect age in your 30s to start getting organized financially. I call it financial adulthood. You're going from a maybe acting like a financial teenager to a financial adult, you're going to want to do a net worth statement eventually anyways, Austin, because depending on your home ownership situation at 38, like we talked about earlier in a show, the banks are going to want a net worth statement. So you might as well get one done in this light financial plan that you're doing. And I like the fact that if you're doing a financial plan, Roger talked about this earlier, you're going to want to provide and have some emergency funds available, either for an emergency or if you're going to buy that first home. And if you look at your savings rate, it really doesn't matter, Austin, how much you're making right now. The person in their 30s that has the best savings rate is going to be the most financially successful in retirement.
Roger used gut check, or Austin used gut check. I'm going to use another use of euphemism, rules of thumb. Now, I know you said before that you don't like rules of thumbs a lot, but there are some things because he's looking for that broad thing. Yeah. By the way, is a light financial plan less filling, or does it taste great?
Both.
Jeez.
It's magically delicious.
Okay. Anyway, what are some other things that this person may want to consider in their mid-30s?
All right, so if we're literally going to use rules of thumb and gut check it, the first thing, they have to have righteous savings rate. So probably 15 to 20%. You got to be saving that. If you say 15 to 20% of your income from age 38, you're likely going to be in pretty good shape.
Okay.
There's going to be some fine tuning needed down the road. You need to have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. And I would say no debt. Like you need your consumer debt paid for. If you're checking all those boxes, you're probably on the right track. I talk with most people that are young, and I think the biggest thing for a young individual is figuring out what your savings rate needs to be.
And I like that when people, especially young people, bring their 401k statement in, Roger. Have you had this situation where they're like, I know it's doing good, but I don't know what I own. Can you show me what I own? I have no idea. I just put it in. I started with the savings rate. I would like to really know what I own. And that's a service that we do for people. But I think that doing a financial plan in the 30s, you just start identifying maybe some of these financial terms that we throw around on the radio show. You start picking up these terms, and then all of a sudden you start educating yourself a little bit more about Roth IRAs and contributions and the different terms that we throw around. And ultimately, by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, you've crossed over every financial term that has taken place, and you know the different strategies that are out there, because at the end of the day, there's probably only about a half dozen financial strategies that are sound that will make people financially independent in retirement.
You said earlier, Roger, good point, Jonas. You said earlier, Roger, a righteous savings rate, which that's why I wrote that down. I was like, I like that. So I kind of smiled. It was like a righteous savings rate. On the flip side of that, unrighteous debt, making sure that they have limited debt, or I guess manageable debt's another thing as well at that age.
I mean, if you're saving 15 to 20% of your check, but you're accumulating credit card debt at the same time, that's detrimental. When I say getting the savings rate right, that means we don't have credit card debt. We don't have consumer debt.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't include your mortgage, right? Your home isn't included, but debt paid for, have a mortgage. If you have a house, then 15 to 20%. If somebody 38 wouldn't know what they need to do, that's what I would tell them.
Okay.
It's not that complicated at 38, but there is some fine tuning that can be done through a financial plan and really take a look at what your goals and what your goals are in the future and really get the savings rate right. And what a lot of times it'll show you, oh, I need to increase, or, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can decrease it a little bit because I've done a great job and I can enjoy my lifestyle a little bit more. And a lot of times that's what happens with what we call young super savers. They're so focused on just accumulating. We're like, you know what? Scale it back a bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life a little more.
Okay.
Because you're still on track for what you're going to do. And that's typically for people who started saving 23, 24, 25, and started doing 15% of their paycheck. They're
Right.
so far ahead of the average individual.
I've got a nephew. Exact same thing. I mean, the kid's just out of this world, and he's never going to hurt for money. He could stop working now and never worry about it again. Never worry about it again. Austin, good start on this. Here's the deal. Go to premieriwm.com. You can get an appointment by asking for one there, or I'll give you the phone number to call here in a second. The other thing to do, though, is while you're there, download all the really cool stuff. You can find out more about the Premier Bucket strategy, which they will talk to you about to make sure you have the 3-bucket check. Short, medium, and long-term buckets filled. They can help you with that, but you can do a little bit of pre-reading out at premieriwm.com. Make your appointment there or call 800-383-6590 for Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Over to Roger for a question from Taylor. Recently started a new job. This is not Taylor Swift. We know that. The company has a policy that says you are not eligible for the 401k plan for a year until after your hiring date. My previous job, I was contributing about $16,000 a year to my 401k, and my new salary is comparable, so I can still afford that. I plan to contribute to my Roth IRA for the next year, but that still leaves me about $9,000 short of what I would have contributed in a 401k. Should I invest that somewhere else or build up a cash reserve and then increase my 401k contributions once I'm eligible to make up for that amount?
Well, you don't have to pause your progress just because your company doesn't offer a 401k.
Mm-hmm.
I like your idea of maxing out the Roth, and then the additional $9,000, you have some options for it. And option one is, let's take a look at where the emergency fund is. If it's now fully funded, let's get that funded. So if you're $5,000 short, let's fund $5,000, get it in the emergency fund. Once done, I would just open a brokerage account and start investing the money. Treat it just like you had a 401k. So when you go back and enroll in the 401k, you feel exactly the same. Yeah. You don't feel like you're taking a pay cut. Just everything is exactly the same. Remember, everything you buy in that 401k, for the most part, you can buy in a brokerage account. So you missing out on 1 year of tax benefit isn't worth missing out on 1 year of savings. Okay. So you just keep things going exactly the same. You're just putting it in a different asset location, not in the 401k for 1 year. Your outcome, if you keep saving, is exactly the same, whether you save in the 401k or you save in a brokerage account in a Roth IRA. The taxation's different, but the returns are the same.
Yeah. And you've continued to make sure that habit is established. And that's part of the whole thing, the psychology of investing. Jonas.
I love the habit, Taylor, here, that you want to continue this strong financial habit. And I also like the fact that she didn't ask, what's the best stock to buy? She just wants to plow money away at her age. And I agree with Roger, that other $9,000, take a look at your personal finances, your emergency fund. It could always go in a separate account. If you're younger, you could always use it. But I also like the fact that you already have a history of financial success here, saving money. Plow it away, start a new account, and then at the end of the day, in retirement, you're going to have all these different chips to count, all these different accounts. And if you're younger, in retirement, you're going to have probably reduced Social Security. And it doesn't sound like Taylor has a pension right now. So the emphasis is on her saving money for her retirement. So she's definitely doing the right thing.
You know what? This is one of the things I like about working with you is that Premier Investments in Wealth Management, I've learned from them that they're best at educating and inspiring you. They're not going to use fear to push you into something. They're not going to coerce you. They want you to have all the information that you need to make fully complete plans, and they'll give the information to you and be transparent with it. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. For Taylor, anybody in your position, for others as well, just head over to premieriwm.com. Find out more about IRAs, Roth IRAs, the whole different cornucopia of what investment tools that you have access to, and they'll help you figure out how to use them to best maximize your strategy. You know, they want to help you get prepared for retirement or for whatever your financial future is. Again, they're the best in inspiring and educating you at Premier Investments in Wealth Management at premieriwm.com. or call today for your appointment, 800-383-6590. Over to Hunter Jonas, who says, my wife and I have always used brokerage accounts to save for specific 5 to 10-year goals. Up until now, we had 2 different accounts, but have recently added some goals we want to save for, but 5 separate accounts seems excessive. Is there any way to easier manage saving for different goals inside just 1 or 2 accounts?
Yes, yes, and yes, Hunter. I really like the idea of having 1 or 2 brokerage accounts set up based on your goals and your timelines, maybe even 3. You look at the first account, that's where you're going to have your short-term investments, Doug. You're going to take less risk. You're going to be conservative with your shorter-term accounts. Your second account or your second brokerage account, just for simplicity, might be 5 to 10 years. And then, Doug, if you don't use that account in 5 to 10 years, it might end up, a little bit of it might end up being your retirement at that point. Yeah. So it sounds like Hunter and his wife has done a good job. They're not even talking about any 401ks that they have set up. But to have 5 different brokerage accounts, I think, is a little bit excessive, especially with the fact that ultimately you need to assign responsibility for each one of these dollars and make sure that it's a short-term situation, 0 to 5 years, and a longer-term situation, 5 to 10 years. But great job having these brokerage accounts. And I think it would be, just for simplicity, very easy to go from 5 different brokerage accounts down to 2 and make sure you know what your goals are and make sure that you assign different risk levels to those different brokerage accounts that you own.
Good answer, Jonas. And one thing, Roger, I was going to come to you on is I started thinking we were like, we've got 5 to 10 year things that we know that we are going to need the money in 5 to 10 years. It's in a brokerage account. I got clinchy on that one because it was like 5 to 10 years in a brokerage account. But you said the numbers in a show prior to this is that if there is a bear market, the average bear market versus the longest duration bear market and what it took to come back from them, maybe I don't need to be so clinchy.
Well, I mean, let's think about a brokerage account. You can own anything from cash up to the riskiest stocks.
Okay.
I believe the reason Jonas is recommending maybe having more than 1 and getting down from 5, 1 is simple, but when you only have 1, you're going to view that brokerage account as 1 pot of money.
Okay.
Even though you might have 1 to 3 years of cash in there and an income bucket and a growth bucket. This happens when I do bucket strategies for people. They're like, well, where's my cash? So it's the investments in this brokerage account.
Right.
And it's all in one. If we had 3, you'd be like, oh, this is the liquid bucket. This is my income bucket. This is my growth bucket. So that's why if you wanted to have up to 3, you could do it. I choose to have 1 because it's just simple. But psychologically, I would understand why someone would want to have 3 to segment the responsibilities. And if you were doing this yourself and you weren't using an advisor and the advisor wasn't doing this for you, I think having 3 with, once again, our liquid, our income, and our growth money would potentially make sense.
Anything to wrap this up and put a bow on it,
You
Jonas?
sound like you're a little bit concerned about your growth investments, Doug. Talk to me about that.
Maybe you need to switch from age to beauty.
This is where your financial counseling comes in live.
This is great.
On air. Talk to me about it.
It's funny because, again, you talked me off this ledge before when I was saying, you know what, I think it's time for me to just sell everything in my investment, put it in cash, and wait for the market to drop. And so I could buy back in.
You're feeling like that again?
I've got concerns.
Well, if you do that, when are you going to get back in?
You know what? Here's the problem. He's in the media every day.
I tend to hear all the bad news. That's the problem. I do. You're right. I tend to hear all the bad news.
I have a friend who turned off the news because I told him, I'm like, he was watching it like 5-6 hours a day. He's retired. I go, turn it off. We were out hunting the other day. He goes, best thing I did. I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, it's great, isn't it?
Well, let's jump into the data as far as declines. Roger taught me this real fast, that each year the market is going to go down 13 to 16%.
13 on average.
13% on average. I did a little quick math on the last stock market crashes or drops that we had, 2020, 2023. And the most recent memory that I like to talk about, even though the market's back up, is April of this year. We're coming up on 2026, but the most recent drop was April of this year when Roger and I received some phone calls. The average decline, Doug, was 28%. So inside your financial plan, if you have a system that you can rebalance and take advantage of those drops, because we don't know when those drops are going to be, the more money that you're going to have in retirement. So we want you to look at those declines as opportunities for your future, not negative things.
I think what I need to say to myself is self, because that's what I call myself. You need to go to premieriwm.com and download the Investor's Guide to Market Volatility. And I'm going to say that's probably what you need to do as well if you've got the same concern that I have, because investing is about a habit of doing the same thing over and over and over again, putting money in, no matter what it is, high or low, somewhere in the middle. You do that consistently over time. And the stats that they show you, Premier Investments and Wealth Management, will tell you that you're going to be successful, and they want you to be successful. They share in your success in multiple ways. The holiday parties are coming up. They love seeing their clients and the smiles on their clients' faces. And they would love you to become one of them. PremierIWM.com to make your appointment, or call 800-383-6590. Jonas, back to you. Question from Roy. Now, plan to retire the next 1 to 2 years. Our incomes always come from 1 to 2 paychecks, and expenses were handled via check or our bank's bill pay feature. Now the income will come in from 2 pensions, Social Security, dividends, interest, and manual withdrawals from our IRAs and 401ks. It's getting more complex. Most of the information I've read about planning for retirement income revolves around tax and investment strategy, not the logistics of moving and tracking the money to and from so many sources. How do I manage my retirement cash flow from an operational perspective? So Roy sounds like he may be an engineer or somebody who's really involved in process.
Great question, Roy. It looks like it's very easy to be overwhelmed in this situation, but if you have the right structure and you have kind of a simple, repeatable system in place, you can actually put your arms around all these different sources of income. I've had this call so many times this year. This is such a common question where we have people, and Roger, you can chime in too. We have people that almost received a get out of jail free card when they turned 70 and a half, and they didn't have to start taking their distributions out of their retirement. 90% of their net worth or their liquid net worth was in a retirement account. And all of a sudden they're turning 73 this year, and they're really concerned and overwhelmed like Roy is. What am I going to do with all these income sources? What's the best way to pay the taxes on it? How are my beneficiaries going to spend all of this money? And I think that ultimately it goes back to trying to talk to somebody about it. And it starts with talking and writing down your financial goals in the first place. And I think that we're seeing so many 401k millionaires now that aren't touching their money, Doug, until they're age 73. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have Social Security, you're going to have pension, and then, oh, by the way, you're going to get another $35,000 each from you and your spouse. So an additional $70,000 of income. No wonder why Roy is asking this question. This is very overwhelming to put your arms around. But I think that if you write down and talk about your financial goals, that's the place to start.
And Roger, I think another thing you'd say too is that what is your outflow going to be? You got all great idea for the income, but planning for your retirement in this point, you really have to have a very good comprehension of where that money is going to go, how much you're going to need for what and for how long.
Yeah, needs, wants, wishes. Mm-hmm. What do I need? What do I want to do? And what do I wish I could do? Mm-hmm. That's the 3 categories of spending to break it down. And once you categorize, though, then you match the income to it. So if I were, what's his name, Jonas? Roy?
Roy.
If I was Roy, I'd figure out what my true needs are and how much of the needs are being funded by the Social Security, dividends, and interest. Be the first thing I do. And maybe all of it, all the needs are funded, then the excess, so the wants, is all funded by the distributions. Mm-hmm. But logistically, as far as taking it out, my recommendation to Roy is get it into as few accounts as possible. So one IRA for you, one for your wife, one Roth IRA for you, one for your wife, one joint brokerage account. It'll make it a little less confusing as to where to take it from.
Yeah.
But if you're leaving this at 6 different employers and you have 3 different Roth IRA custodians because you think you're diversified, you're making a mistake. You need to consolidate and get these accounts down smaller amounts. And you might use one account. You might say, hey, I want tax-free dividends, so I'm taking tax-free dividends from my Roth. I'm not saying that's a recommendation, but it might be something you look at doing to manage your taxes in retirement.
And I'm telling, Roy, if you're 73 and you're expecting your retired minimum distributions and you don't have a charity, then you're going to have to pay the taxes with no tears. That's the only thing that you can do at this point.
Yeah.
But have fun with it, because one of the things that you're going to have to understand is if you've done a great job saving money, that's been money in. A lot of times, Doug, our successful investors are so good at money in throughout the years. We're good at talking to them about money out later. Yeah. And there's a second part to the money in, and this is why Roy is asking this question. The money out later experts, that's what we do.
The way that you do that, and there's other things too. I mean, first of all, I'm going to say, number one, if you have a confusion about RMDs and how to take money out so you can do what you need to for tax purposes, to preserve your investments and all those things, that's why you have professionals like my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. You got lawyers for legal problems. You got doctors for medical problems. You got wealth advisors for your retirement. That's what they're there to do at premieriwm.com. But if you just want to call and make your appointment today, 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. For Roger Abel, Jonas Everett, my name is Doug Wagner. We'll see you next time at the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments in Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Rebalancing a portfolio may cause investors to incur tax liabilities and/or transaction costs, and does not assure a profit or protect against loss. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Contributions to a traditional IRA may be tax deductible in the contribution year, with current income tax due at withdrawal. Withdrawals prior to age 59.5 may result in a 10% IRS penalty tax in addition to current income tax. A Roth IRA offers tax deferral on any earnings in the account. Qualified withdrawals of earnings from the account are tax-free. Withdrawals of earnings prior to age 59.5 or prior to the account being open for 5 years, whichever is later, may result in a 10% IRS penalty tax. Limitations and restrictions may apply. Traditional IRA account owners have considerations to make before performing a Roth IRA conversion. These primarily include income tax consequences on the converted amount in the year of conversion, withdrawal limitations from a Roth IRA, and income limitations for future contributions to a Roth IRA. In addition, if you are required to take a required minimum distribution, RMD, in the year you convert, you must do so before converting to a Roth IRA. Forbes Best in State Wealth Management Team's ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings, and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firm. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.